This is KUGAN, CASSIUS, IFL TV, MTK Global. We're in Dubai here on the fucking 114th floor. I'm joined by a fucking trainer extraordinaire, Ben Davison, without the D. You know what I mean?
What accent was that?
That's my normal Essex accent from Billericay. I mean, Wickford. You've been out here a couple of days. Obviously, you're out with Billy Joe Saunders. How's the last couple of days been? Obviously, the weather isn't probably what you're normally used to in Dubai when you've been here before. Certainly isn't for me.
This is my first time to Dubai.
Really?
Actually is, yeah.
All right, but what do you think of the weather in general then, Ben?
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
Bit cold.
A little bit breezy, but give it a couple of days, I'm sure it'll kick in.
Right. Well, listen, before we come on to obviously your reuniting with Billy Joe Saunders, we saw you a couple of weeks ago and you didn't really want to make any kind of comment on, very respectfully, with your parting of ways with Mr. Tyson Fury, but Tyson's kind of in, obviously, the build-up now to the Wilder fight, has made some comments about you two not being together anymore, but just wanted kind of your take from it. No specific questions. I'm not going to go into it because I know you probably won't go into it. But what can you say about it, Ben?
Nothing. Just the fact that we had a working relationship. We don't have a working relationship now, but I think everybody knew that we had a friendship, and the friendship remains. So just because we're not working together doesn't mean that the friendship isn't there. And if you can take anything from it, that was probably one of the biggest things to take away from it, is that I didn't want the working relationship to then affect the friendship. So everything's the same, you know. Nothing changes just because we're not in business together, you know. Sometimes these things happen.
Was there an option for you to remain as part of the Fury team, but not in your previous role, if that makes sense?
No comment. No comment. Now, listen, like I say, look, I don't want to get into it because I have more respect for Tyson than that, and vice versa. So you don't need. I understand Tyson's got a hell of a lot of fans and all the rest of it, and that, you know, they might want to know this, know that, but like I say, it's not. There's no need to go into details. The working relationship has come to an end, and that's it. You know, we're still friends.
When you see a split from a fighter and a promoter, or a trainer and a fighter, I think people kind of assume that there's been some kind of like, you know, or there's a conspiracy around it, shall we say? Oh, something must have happened. But sometimes you just have to do what's best for your career as well as Tyson doing the best for his career. It looks like that's happened in this instance.
Yeah, just, you know, it's one of them. I think what it is usually when something like that happens, you know, either the trainer comes out saying this, that, and the other about the fighter, and vice versa. And, you know, I think people couldn't work it out because that's not happened. But like I say, it's because we had a working relationship, but we had a friendship, yeah? Usually when the working relationship comes to an end, it comes out that the friendship was fake, really. You're not really friends because once the money stops coming in and you're not in business together, the friendship falls apart. But that's not the case. So our friendship wasn't fake, or isn't fake. So just because the working relationship's come to an end, that's not going to change. You know, I'm not going to come out and say blah, 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 you know, and he's not going to come out and say blah, 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 because we're friends. And, you know, I spoke to him Christmas Day, Merry Christmas, blah, 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 blah. I've not been in constant contact with him because he's in preparation for a fight. And respectfully, you know, to whoever's working with him now, I'm not going to be saying, oh, make sure of this, make sure of that, because, you know, it needs to be a smooth transition. So it's, you know, his mind's on his job and you need to leave it to him. I will speak to him before the fight, but not saying this, that and the other, just as friends, and that's all it needs to be.
What do you make of his decision to go with Emmanuel Stewart's nephew, Sugar Hill, leading into this Wilder rematch, which is literally 5 weeks away now?
Yeah, I mean, look, how can I have a comment? I can't have an opinion because I've never seen the man work in the gym before, you know. So I can't really have a comment. But Tyson knows his boxing. He knows what he needs to do. He's experienced enough to know where he should be, what he should be able to do, to know he's peaking and performing and where his body needs to be, and he knows how to get his mindset right. So, you know, there's plenty of people there in terms of both his brothers, you know, Christian's there, worked with him for Klitschko before and worked for him all the way through the comeback as well. Tim's there, Isaac's there training alongside him as well. So, you know, I'm positive and sure that they'll be able to get the job done.
I mean, I'm not going to go as far as, well, I'm not going to word it like this to say that your time with Tyson Fury kind of put you on the map as a trainer, but to a certain degree, it kind of gave you experience at the very highest level. You're talking about peakness of the sport in the fight that you was involved with. So is that a case of kind of using that moving forward for you as well? Because that was invaluable, that experience for you.
Yeah, of course, you know, those... But again, I always say, what is experience? Because it's not the amount, it's the quality of it. So sometimes some people have, I'm not saying this is me, obviously, but some people have got it. Some people can go into their first world title fight and win a world championship. So they're at world championship level. Some people can't. It takes them a few attempts, but, you know, everything's different. But of course, this experience, invaluable experience, you're always learning. You always need to want to keep learning. And the moment that you think that you can't learn anymore is the moment it's all over, to be honest. Fighter or trainer or in anything that you do, any job that you do.
Can you rule out or not rule out ever working with Tyson in the future, or you don't know that right now?
I won't rule that out. Like I say, he's my friend. I've worked with Billy Joe. Billy Joe's going to train somewhere else. I've worked with Billy Joe. He's going to train somewhere else. I've worked with Billy Joe again. You know, it doesn't change anything.
Just going on to Billy Joe now, obviously, boxing fans will remember that night in Scotland where Billy Joe situation with Jimmy Tibbs was very unclear, and there was you kind of in the corner and no one knew who you were. People watching didn't know who you were, but obviously Billy Joe and you had a good relationship, had been working together. So from that point to now kind of going full swing where you're working with Billy Joe again, can you kind of just sort of sum up from that time back to now? Yeah,
I mean, do you know what? That experience there probably gave me more experience than anything else has ever gave me any experience, because it was a situation where I had to think well ahead, because I knew he didn't really have a full tank. We had to work off half a tank to go through 12 rounds, and, you know, so having to help plan it out and manage the rounds, looking back now, you can look back and say, actually, do you know what, for the condition that he was in going into that fight, he done a good job, you know. When you think that Andrade didn't have to go through the problems that Billy Joe went through and had the similar sort of performance against the same opponent, whereas Billy Joe was like 10% of what he should be, if that. So that experience there probably gave me more experience than anything, but, so, you know, you gain all along and all the way through, and I suppose for fighters as well, through training camps you might pick up one thing, two things, and each training camp, sometimes more, each training camp you're building until, unfortunately for fighters, the mind might keep learning, but then the body might start to slow down. So, but yeah, so in terms of working together, yeah. Working together.
I asked this to Billy Joe earlier, whether your decision to work with Billy Joe again had a lot to do with the fact that you weren't training Tyson anymore. How much of a factor was that?
No, not really. We worked together when all of us worked together. Billy Joe gave me my first opportunity in boxing as well, so I'd never, ever be able to say no to Billy Joe. Because again, we're friends as well, so he gave me my first opportunity and was the first person that really believed in myself as a coach, so I'd never even be able, I'd always have to put myself out there for him.
Billy Joe earlier on also spoke about the possibility of Jimmy Tibbs being involved with your team going into any potential fight, which is obviously unclear at the moment yet. But someone like Jimmy Tibbs, who's one of the most experienced trainers around, and his wealth of knowledge and kind of understanding and judgment of the game is second to none. So you can only benefit from having someone like Jimmy Tibbs in the corner.
Yeah, anybody can benefit from that, you know. And two heads better than one, and more so than that, it's a familiar voice for Billy Joe, you know. And more than anything, I'll be honest, yeah, is the fact that Billy Joe's that type of person where Jimmy was with him from the very, very start. So I know more so on a personal level, more than anything to do with Jimmy brings a hell of a lot. But even more than that, I know Billy Joe would just like Jimmy to be there to as a thank you, and not as a thank you in that kind of way, but as a wants to repay Jimmy for, you know, the work that he's put in there, and wants him to be a part of the team in this part of Billy Joe's career as well, as he for the job that he done all the way through from the beginning.
We know have come out here to Dubai to kind of probably get head start on camp. It's got a bit of weight to shift, etc. But in
what are you talking about, KUGAN?
Well, he looks the same as he does every point before a camp, Billy. Just a little bit of weight to lose, maybe like 3 or 4 pounds.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But in your head, are you kind of just preparing yourself that there's strong rumours, obviously, that he will face Canelo, but that's still nowhere near done? But in your head, are you thinking, this call comes, we need to be ready?
Yeah, obviously, you know, discuss things, go through things, I study them, but yeah, I also have to study opponents that may potential fight, you know. So always working on things. You're never gonna, and you've got no need to change someone's style who's had success like Billy Joe, but just you can always add little bits to it. So it's just improving. That's what it's about, day to day.
In your opinion, why, or not how, why can Billy Joe beat Canelo if that fight happens?
Well, obviously I'm not going to go into it, is it? Obviously I'm not going to say because...
I didn't say how, I said why did you believe that?
Because he's... Take a tactical and technical aspect out of it. The only... Tyson and Billy Joe got heart and desire like nobody else, no other fighter on the planet, and that will always see them through as it has done so far.
Sometimes it's about taking the right fights at the right time. Someone like Golovkin, who's seemingly coming towards the end of his career, it sort of makes sense for Billy Joe where he is in his career, but Canelo is kind of, we don't know kind of where he is in his career. He may have peaked already, we don't know. He's still got a lot of fights left in him, so it's not the same as fighting someone like Gennady Golovkin.
Yeah, but as a fighter, like when Golovkin was going on his run, Billy Joe wasn't really interested in Canelo. When everybody was raving about Golovkin, he wanted Golovkin. And as a fighter, that's, you know, you want to test yourself against the absolute best, and that's the only thing. You know, Billy Joe's been world champion since 2015. The other champions in that same time frame, in the same weight class, has been Golovkin, Jacobs, and Canelo. They've all fought each other, had rematches, and this and that, and he's not been given an opportunity, and that's the only downside, you know. Callum Smith, you know, what a brilliant fighter. Won his world title in 2018. Billy Joe won 2015 his world title. He's been waiting a long time to be given the opportunity to fight the other best man in the division. So I think it's something that he's earned and deserves for sure.
There's also the possibility, if that fight wasn't to materialise, the Callum Smith fight, which is obviously much talked about. But do you like that fight for Billy?
I think that for both men, it's obviously a tough fight. They're both world champions, so it's always a tough fight. For me, you know, Billy Joe deserves that opportunity to fight either a Canelo or Golovkin mainly Canelo, because I think Canelo is now looked at as the number one, and I think he deserves that opportunity, because if he beats Canelo, when he beats Canelo, if given the opportunity, nobody can have an excuse to say, he wasn't this, he wasn't that, or it's because of this or because of that. You know, you've beat the number one, and he deserves the opportunity to be able to do that.
So currently you're only a trainer to Billy Joe. You're not training currently any other fighters. Are you on the lookout?
What do you mean by look at?
What, are you looking to acquire any more fighters in the professional game?
Not looking, but doesn't mean that I wouldn't.
If it comes, it comes.
Depends who it is and times and schedules and all the rest of it.
You've done all right. A couple of weeks ago, you was unemployed, down in the dumps. Now you got a job again, mate.
I was unemployed, wasn't I? Getting on my way to the dole office and the phone went, didn't it?
How you been treated out here in Dubai? Obviously, you was at the Round 10 Boxing Club today, where they were obviously looking after you and stuff. So, MTK and everyone treating you well here?
Yeah, brilliant facilities. Best of food, best of facilities. Really, really good. And everywhere we've ever gone with MTK been very, very well looked after. So always very, very thankful to them. So yeah, brilliant.
So Ben, are you not working with Isaac anymore?
Not for this fight, obviously, because he's got to do his camp in Vegas. But we'll see. Not ruling anything out. And I spoke to Isaac. And I was like, look, I want, obviously, I want to work with you and the job that you've done with me. I was like, yeah, I understand, but Isaac had to prepare himself in Vegas, and they're part of the same camp and that. And obviously, at that time, I'd already spoke with Billy Joe, so I'd made a commitment there. So I wouldn't have really been able to spend that time over there. But we'll see. You never know what's round the corner, son.
You never know. It could be a door, just slightly open.
Or it could be wide open. But then again, it could be locked with no key. You just never know.
Ben, final question before I let you go, because I know you want to go to bed. It's very late here.
Gym, mate.
Are you actually going to the gym? Yeah.
Go to the gym, yeah.
Oh, fair play to you. Just going back to Tyson, do you honestly believe that Tyson will beat Wilder on Feb 22nd?
Yes, I do believe. I believe that he'll beat Wilder. I believe that even if, let's just say, and I'm not saying it's the case, but even if tactically it was wrong, he's got something special about him. Like I just said about him and Billy Joe, they got that heart, that determination, that will, that desire that sometimes can just break through. And I believe that's why, even sometimes I think every trainer's got their own philosophy, yeah, and think that's how that person should go about that fight. That's how that person should go about that fight. Sometimes you might think go this way, but you could go that way about it as well. Plan A, Plan B. Sometimes you might have a Plan C, and then someone else might have a different idea, yeah, on how to go about the fight. But I just believe that he's, because of that will, desire, and heart that he's got, he can come through that fight either way. He's just got to. Everybody knows what he's got to do. I'm not even got to say it. So yeah, 100%. I believe in him. I want him to do it. 1,000,000% hand on my heart. I want him to do it. And I'm sure he will.
Will you be there?
I'm going to be there. Yeah, of course I'll be there. I'll be there supporting.
We'll get you working for IFL that week if you want. Give your exes and that out there.
I've got a job now, ain't I?
All right, well, listen, people can't see the stunning view out of here.
Would you pay for me flight?
What?
Would you pay for me?
Obviously.
I might take you up on that job then, Sam.
Ben Davison, the IFL TV.
I'm not going in the Hooters Hotel, though.
What are you on about? Where do you want to go then? You can go in Excalibur. Shout out Excalibur. I was there 2015.
I stayed in Mandalay Bay, walked through there the other week.
Yeah.
Not bad.
All right, well, listen, enjoy your time out here and get your job done, and we'll definitely, hopefully, catch up with you when you're back. Sorry, someone boring you, mate?
No, when you yawn, I think, if I'm not mistaken, something to do with lack of oxygen. Could just be you crowded with space.
Maybe. Ben Davison, thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you soon. Good luck out here.
All right, son. How you been treated out here?
I've been treated a fucking bollocks, governor.
It's a nice T-shirt. Oh, mate.
No, I'm not going to say that. Ben, thank you very much.
Gold Star Promotions is proud to present Floyd Money Mayweather. The man himself is coming to the UK for his UK tour, February and March 2020. For all info and tickets, Gold Star Promotions, the host